Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something you might think you already know. It's the classic fable of the thirsty crow. But look, we aren't just going to sit here and read a storybook today. No, we're going to completely deconstruct it. We're going to treat this timeless little tale as an absolute masterclass in strategic thinking, resilience, and practical problem solving. Because honestly, buried right inside this simple, ancient narrative about a bird just trying to get a drink is a profoundly effective framework for tackling the seemingly impossible obstacles we face in our own lives.
To do this, we'll be breaking things down step by step. Part 1, a desperate thirst. Part 2, the pitcher problem. Part 3, strategy and problem solving. Part 4, the pebble solution. And finally, Part 5, the morals of the story.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, a desperate thirst and the search for water.
So picture this. It's a relentlessly hot summer day and our crow is facing a literal biological emergency. The environment is totally unforgiving and his urgent need for water is dictating every single action he takes. In the morning, when he's full of energy, he searches the open fields. By noon, as the heat really peaks, he expands his search radius to the forests and villages. Still absolutely nothing. By the afternoon, we're seeing a massive depletion of resources. He's growing weaker and weaker. It's a classic, agonizing timeline. You know, the longer the problem goes unsolved, the less energy he actually has to solve it. The stakes literally could not be higher.
Which brings us to Section 2, the pitcher problem, an unexpected obstacle.
After hours of exhausting, fruitless searching, boom, a breakthrough. He spots a pitcher standing quietly under a tree. Now, in a survival situation, a moment of hope like this provides a massive rush of adrenaline, right? He flies down quick, anticipating immediate relief. But wow, talk about a massive gap between expectation and reality. The expectation, a pitcher brimming with easily reachable ice-cold water. The reality? I mean, there is water, sure, but it's at the very bottom. The water level is so extremely low that it is completely out of reach for his beak. Imagine the crushing frustration here. The solution is literally right in front of him, visibly present but completely physically inaccessible. Initially, instinct just takes over. The source text tells us the crow tried again and again to drink, stretching his neck, probably trying to tilt his head every which way, but he failed. He was deeply disappointed. But right here, this is the critical turning point of our whole case study, because he absolutely refuses to give up. Despite his growing weakness, despite the repeated failures, he refuses to surrender to the problem. He actually halts those frantic, ineffective actions and prepares to completely change tactics.
Section 3, strategy and problem solving. The critical pause.
The crow realizes that brute force just isn't working, and he's going to have to outsmart the pitcher. So, I want you to pause and think for a second. If you were in this exact scenario, with your energy completely failing, how would you reach the water without knocking over that heavy pitcher and spilling everything into the dry earth? Seriously, I highly encourage you to hit pause on this explainer for just a moment. Practice your own spatial reasoning and problem-solving skills. Remember, you can only use items in your immediate natural environment.
Now, what's really interesting about this exact cognitive leap the crow makes next is that it perfectly embodies resourcefulness, the ability to find quick and clever ways to overcome difficulties. Instead of obsessing over what he doesn't have, like say a miraculously longer beak, he starts looking at what he does have. He scans his environment and notices these small, seemingly useless pebbles lying nearby. In a flash of pure genius, he connects the heavy, solid property of the rocks with the fluid nature of the water. And just like that, the master plan is born.
Let's move to Section 4, the pebble solution and the execution of the plan.
A brilliant idea is really only as good as its execution, right? Well, the clever crow now has a strategy, and despite being incredibly exhausted, he gets right to work. We can break his execution down into a highly methodical, step-by-step process. Step 1, pick up a single pebble in his beak. Step 2, drop it carefully into the pitcher. Step 3, pick up another pebble. Step 4, repeat over and over again. You can almost feel the rhythm to this. Pick, drop, pick, drop. It's a slow, physically demanding loop. He isn't getting a reward from the first pebble or the second or even the 10th. He just has to trust the process entirely.
So, the crucial point is that this repetition completely defines our next major concept: persistence. Firm or obstinate continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. See, the crow's resourcefulness gave him the idea, but it was his absolute persistence that made the idea a reality. He worked patiently and continuously, knowing that his tiny incremental actions were eventually going to yield a massive result.
And this brilliantly illustrates the actual physics of his persistence. Think about how this works. With 0 pebbles, the water is entirely out of reach. But as he adds more pebbles, volume displacement kicks in. The solid pebbles sink down to the bottom, pushing the water straight up. Finally, with enough pebbles, the water level gets pushed high enough. It's such a beautiful, logical representation of how consistent, targeted effort literally changes the environment around you, even if, we are technically just talking about a thirsty bird dropping rocks into a jug.
And finally, the triumphant payoff. The water was high enough. After all that agonizing searching, the brutal disappointment, the strategic pause, and the exhausting labor, the crow's beak finally touches the cool water. He quenched his thirst. His hard work paid off, his life was saved, and feeling totally refreshed and deeply satisfied, he flew away.
Let's move to section 5 and see how this builds up to the morals of the story and our key takeaways.
So, what are the foundational life lessons we can extract from this whole case study? Well, the primary takeaway is a phrase you've definitely heard before: where there is a will, there is a way. But after studying our crow friend, we realize this isn't just some empty cliche. Will isn't just wanting something really badly. The crow wanted water when he was flying out over the fields, but that didn't magically make it appear. True will is that engine of determination that forces you to engage your intelligence. It's the absolute refusal to accept no from your environment, which inevitably forces you to carve out an innovative path to success.
The second powerful moral is this: think wisely before giving up on a problem. I mean, think about it. The crow was inches away from just flying off and likely succumbing to the heat. It was that critical pause, that single moment he stopped acting on frantic instinct and started acting on wise observation, that literally saved him. Patience, critical thinking, and hard work can truly unlock the most stubborn, seemingly impossible barriers we face.
I want to leave you with a final thought to carry with you today. What is a low water problem that you are facing right now? What's that goal or necessity that seems incredibly clear, yet agonizingly out of reach? And more importantly, instead of lamenting what you don't have, what are the pebbles lying right around you? What are those small, overlooked resources or daily actions that you can start dropping into the pitcher right now to raise the water level yourself? Take a second to really think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.